Welcome back to our English lesson. Today we want to look at the oral poetry. That is the question that is being sent in paper one. And then in this oral poetry, we're going to have the sample of the poem. And then from there we have some questions, the sample of questions. And then I'm going to show you how we are supposed to answer these questions. So class, come back. And then we want to start reading the poem together. So our poem here says, Ali, circle the nipples, milk, purples, form and lippos, little hands up in the air, catch on the mother's hair, sweet sensation rises in the pressure, tiny legs kick with pressure, sleep comes gently and strong, sleep whispers softly and long. So this is the sample of our poem. And then there are some of the 5 questions which are mostly set in paper 1, that is question 3. Our first question is to identify and illustrate 2 sound devices evident in the poem. So what we are looking at is the sound device here. And then we are having different sound devices. And number 1, we want to start with alliteration. We start with alliteration. And this alternation here, it is going to be the repetition of consonant sound at the beginning of different words which are of close proximity. Meaning that we are going to identify the sound that is of similar in different words. Like now, if you come at this part, the word sweet and sensation starts with sound C. So since we are having sound C, we will say that there is repetition. There is repetition of sound S. So you must indicate the sound. We have repetition of sound S at words. We just give the words, that is sweet, and the sensation in the line, just give the line, that is sweet, sensation rises in pressure, So just quote. So viewers, the first thing is to identify the sound device, as we have identified, that is alternation. After saying alternation, identify the sound, this sound that is in the words sweet and sensation, and then from there, just give that line where there is a repetition of the sound. Number 2, we can talk about consonants. You can come here and then we see number 2 here. We talk about consonants as our second sound. So we say consonants. And when we talk about consonants here, we mean the repetition of consonant sound. Now it is not going to be at the beginning, but at the middle or the end of different words which are in a close proximity. So we look at the consonant sound repeated. So in our poem here, we can find some repeated sound, like now we have this and the lipo. So we have sound P. So you say that repeated sound P in words. We have repetition of sound P in words, lip and the lipo. So we have lip and the lippos. In the line, you just highlight, circle the nipples. You just quote the line. So meaning that you have said the sound is consonants. We are having the sound that is being repeated is sound P, and then you have given the line at which that sound is being repeated. So there are some two things you are supposed to take into consideration. That's number one. We are not going to award a mark if you just identify without illustrating. So you must identify and then you illustrate. You cannot illustrate without identifying. So these things go one hand in hand, whereby you are going to identify and then you illustrate. And for you to get a mark, when you are going to illustrate as a good student, just give an example of the line at which the sound is being repeated and point out the sound that is being repeated. So in our case here, the question asks two sound devices. We have just given two. But now, for other viewers, I can just list some sound devices that can be evident in the poem. We can also have rhyme. You can say we have rhyme. We have rhyme. And when we talk about rhyme, this is the repetition of sounds at the different words at the end of those words. End sound, like now the word nipples and lips rhyme, hair and air rhyme since they are going to end with some R, and this one ends with some pressure and pressure rhymes also since they end with the same sound. So when you talk about rhyme, you say that these are words that end with the same sound. Words, they are words that end with same sound. But now if you are going to identify as your sound device here, you will just say we are having rhyme, and then you come and then you say that pressure and pressure rhymes. Rhymes. And this one is going to call us for our the second question, that is you identify the two pairs of rhyming words. So viewers, first, we have talked about the sound devices, and these sound devices, it is alternation, consonance, and rhyme as we have seen from the poem. So we go to our second question. You identify the two pairs of rhyming words. As we have said, rhyme, this is the same sound that is being produced at the end of different words. Different words that produce the same sound. Like now here you come and then you say that strong and long rhyme. You also say pressure and pleasure also rhyme. So just give the two pairs. This is pair number one. Pair number two, meaning that pair it is two words. The first pair contains two words. Second pair contains another two words. It contains another two words. Lastly, the last question that we want to look at, that is question number 3, is to identify the rhyme scheme of the poem. Identify the rhyme scheme of the poem. And then I want to show you how we are supposed to identify this rhyme scheme. First, number one, just identify the last words at each line of the poem. Line number one, we have the last word which is nipples. The second line, we have nipples. And then we have air. We have air. We have pressure. We have pressure. We have also pressure. We have strong. And then we have long. Now, after identifying the last word of each line, we are going to identify the last sound produced at each word. Like now, this ends with sounds. This one also is sounds. This is air. Air ends with sound R. hair, sound R, pressure, what went with sharp, pressure, sh, sound sh, strong, sound yours are long, which is sound So the first sound we are going to give it as A, B, B, C, C, and then D, D. So what we have given is the pattern of the poem, and then from here we are going to have the pattern of the poem, the pattern which is going to be A, B, B, C, C, and then D, D. A, B, B, C, C, and then B, B. So you have identified the pattern, but if you can look at this pattern, which is A, B, B, C, C, D, D, you can be able to identify that you can predict the next pattern, which is missing here. You can say can be E, E, F, F, G, G as it continues, meaning that the pattern is predictable. A predicting pattern gives us the rhyme scheme, which is regular, meaning that as your answer here, you will say that the poem has a regular, rhyme scheme, with the pattern. Just give the pattern A, B, B, C, C, D, D. Don't separate, just give it A, B, B, C, C, D, D. And then you say that hence, one can predict the pattern of the missing, lines of the poem. One can predict the pattern of the missing lines of the poem. So what we have done is that we have said the type of the rhyme scheme, which is regular. Then we have said that our pattern that gives a regular rhyme scheme is A, B, B, C, C, D, D, and this gives us that one can predict the next pattern of this rhyme scheme. So up to there, viewers, I want to take a break, and then when we meet next, we are going to look at question number 4, which is how are you going to perform a certain part of a poem? And then from there, we look at how you going to say a certain part of the poem. So subscribe to my channel, and then from there, when we meet next, we are going to continue with this lesson. Nice time.